Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Hiranyakashipu, King of the Demons, text number 58. Shri, notice it's Shri, beautiful Hiranyakashipu. Maybe it says in the purport why he's so beautiful. Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha Bala Pravadati Sarve Vishmitasa Yatayo Mi Nire Sarvam Anityam Ato Titam. Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha Bala Eva Pravadanti Sarva Vishmita Chetasa Yatayo Minire Sarvam Anityam Ato Titam. Hiranyakashipu Vacha Shanti Tisa Janske Sujapur Vacha Yayo Minre Sarva Anityam Atotitam Shri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. Shri Hiranyakashipu said, the beautiful Hiranyakashipu said, Vale, while Yamaraj in the form of a boy, Evam, thus, Pravadati, was speaking very philosophically. Sarve, all, Vishmita, struck with wonder. Chetasa, the hearts. Gyataya, the relatives. Menire, they thought. Sarvam, everything, material. Anityam, temporary. Ata, ayata, utitam, arisen from temporary phenomena. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Hiranyakashipu said, while Yamaraj, in the form of a small boy, was instructing all the relatives surrounding the dead body of Suyagya, everyone was struck with wonder by his philosophical words. They could understand that everything material is temporary, not continuing to exist. Purport, this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2:18. Antavanta ime deha nityas yogda sharirina. The body is perishable, but the soul within the body is imperishable. Therefore, the duty of those advanced in knowledge in human society is to study the constitutional position of the imperishable soul, and not waste the valuable time of human life in merely maintaining the body and not considering life's real responsibility. Every human being should try to understand how the spirit soul can be happy and where he can attain an eternal, blissful life of knowledge. Human beings are meant to study these subject matters, not to be absorbed in caring for the temporary body, which is sure to change. No one knows whether he will receive a human body again. There is no guarantee. For according to one's work, one may get any body, from that of a demigod to that of a dog. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya comments, Aham mama bhimanadi tva yatotam anityakam mahadadi yatotam yatatotam cha nitya chapi yatotitam ashvatantraiva prakriti satantro nitya eva cha yatarata bhutas cha para eka eva janardana. Only Janardana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ever existing. But its creation in the material world is temporary. Therefore, everyone who is captivated by the material energy and absorbed in thinking, I am this body, and everything belonging to this body is mine, is an illusion. One should think only of being eternally part of Janardana, and one's endeavor in this material world, especially in the human form of life, should be to obtain the association of Janardana by going back home, back to Godhead. Hiranyakashipu said, while Yamaraj, in the form of a small boy, was instructing all the relatives surrounding the dead body of Suyagya, everyone was struck with wonder by his philosophical words. They could understand that everything material is temporary, not continuing to exist. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatunde Vangoragani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskadyade Satarne. So Hiranyakashipu is called Sri Hiranyakashipu because, I don't know if it's mentioned beforehand, but he was originally a gatekeeper of Vaikuntha, a liberated eternal associate of Krishna, Lord Narayan, and that just temporarily, very temporarily, in terms of eternal time, playing the part of a demon by Narayan's desire. Therefore, and here, he's instructing philosophy coming from Bhagavad Gita, so certainly he's Sri Hiranyakashipu for now. When he fights against Lord Nrsimhadev, then we don't say Hiranyakashipu Jai, we say Hiranyakashipu Boo. But now we can say Jai Hiranyakashipu because he's giving some philosophical understanding of reality, which is true. And undoubtedly we have to respect the fact that he's Krishna's eternal servant and that now he's already returned back to the spiritual world after coming back as him and his brother, as Jagai and Madai. They got their final perfection by engaging themselves in Chaitanya Leela. So Hiranyakashipu, presently the soul, Jaya Vijaya, are in a much more fortunate position than any conditioned soul. But here he's giving good instruction that there's no sense of lamenting because it's a waste of time. That, as Prahlad Maharaj said, that dharma, from the very Kamar Acharat Pragyo, Dharmam Bhagavataniha, Durlabam Manusha Janma, Tarap Yajvavam Artadam. That from the very beginning of life, Kamara, around 5 years old, one should be a Kamar Acharat Pragyo. One should try to become intelligent. Kamar Acharat Dharmam Bhagavatan Iha. One should learn the science of Krishna consciousness, about Bhagavat, the Dharma of Bhagavat. That is devotional service. Durlabha manusha janma, it is very rare to get a human form of life. And it's temporary, but rare. Shadartruvam arthadam. But even though it's temporary, it has value if it's utilized in Krishna's service. Otherwise, it's no better than any other species of life. As a matter of fact, one can get in much more trouble in the human form of life than you can in any other species of life. The demigods are rather restricted. People in hell can't do very much. The animals are certainly restricted. Only in this Kali Yuga, especially, then people are free to not only do all kinds of nonsense, but unlimitedly do all kinds of nonsense in such a way as to guarantee them the lowest form of life possible in their next birth. Not only they're wasting the human form of life, but they'll sink down even way below the most elementary species of life, the animals. They want to, if they become an animal, it means that they probably got some prasadam or something. Otherwise, to take birth in Kali Yuga as an animal after having a human form of life with sinful activities is relatively auspicious. Because an animal will only have to wait so many hundreds and maybe thousands of births. But if you become a germ, who knows how many births you have to take before you get back to the human form of life? Who knows whose stomach you're going to inhabit? Who knows who's breathing you in and breathing you out? It's not sattvic life. Therefore, one should have some appreciation for the fact that we have this human form of life and it has some value, and as much as we derive value from it, by engaging in Krishna's service, then to that degree we can also convince others also to engage their value human form of life in Krishna's service. Krishna is not trying to bring everyone down to the lowest species of life, although he says, Tanaham dvishita kuran samsareshu naradamam shipram yajastram ashubam asri shveva yonishu asrim yoni apanam muda janmani mama prapyaiva kontya tato yantyadamam gatim. That those who are mischievous, who are envious, who are the lowest among men. Now, if you go up to someone in the street and say, my dear sir, I'm trying to help you because obviously you're mischievous, you're envious, and you're the lowest among mankind. So who's Krishna referring to here? Tanaham, who's Krishna referring to? Where else does he refer to the people who are mischievous, envious, and the lowest among mankind? Where else does he mention these classes of people? What's that? Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure we can find that. But where specifically these three classes of men? Yes, the mam diskritina muda prapadyante naradama maya pritigyanam asrim bhavam ashritya. So those who are the mischievous? What's that? Yes, well, the mudhas and the radamas, but especially the naradamas, because then we have the lazy intelligent, they're not so dangerous. But then we have the lazy foolish, the shudras. They can only do so much harm. But the active foolish, the naradamas, who think they're very intelligent, they're making technological advancement to destroy all living entities in the whole environment. Etam drishtim avashtavya, nashtatmano na buddhaya, pravanyugra karmana shaye jagato hita. Being atheistic, the demons, lost to themselves, create horrible, unbeneficial works meant to destroy the world. So they're certainly mischievous. Although they're giving each other prizes. Like one president recently of the United States, that he was responsible for invading so many countries and killing so many, probably millions of people, and he got rewarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Imagine someone who's a warmonger, and he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. Imagine if they would have considered him a warmonger, what he must have had to do. What would he have to do? If the Peace Prize goes to someone who's invading so many countries and killing so many millions of people, imagine what the warmongers are. So they're mischievous, envious. So who are the envious? Everyone is envious, but who specifically are the envious of the discreteness? Yes, they're certainly envious of Krishna. They're those who are foolish, those who are deceitful, those who are deceitful, and those who are atheistic. They never approach Krishna. So those who are envious of Krishna are the atheists. They decry Krishna. They say, all right, if you want to believe in a God, then believe in a God who has no head, no hands, no legs, nothing, no eyes. He can't hear, he can't see, he can't touch, he can't move. He's a paraplegic, and he's dumb, deaf, blind, and stupid. So you can worship him because, after all, feel some sympathy for him. Maybe he'll feel better. He's in a really miserable state. So the combination of the Maya Priti Jnanas, those who are deceitful and those who are envious. So those who are envious, those who are deceitful, those who are the lowest among men. Those are actually the Naradamas, the lowest among men. I cast into the demonic species of life. So why does Krishna do that? He was in a bad mood, or he's revengeful. You don't like me, I don't like you either. You want to decry me, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Whack. Become an animal. You still don't like me? Well, what about a mouse? You still haven't learned any lesson? All right, I'll make you into an insect. What about a plant? How far do you want to go before you surrender? So is Krishna envious himself? People don't worship him, he gets very disturbed. You don't love me? Well, I'm going to show you. Whack, you rascal. No, Krishna is simply fulfilling people's desires and what they deserve. If he didn't restrain them by putting them into a lower species of life, then people would become more and more belligerent, less and less restrained. They would actually believe that they could get away with anything. And at the same time, enter into the lower species of life is actually good for those who want to get away from Krishna, because they won't have to worry about Krishna anymore. They can be the king of the ants. No one's going to deny it. No ant's going to come up and say, wait a second, there's a bigger ant down the block. I met him. He's twice as big as you are. No, you rascal. You're imagining. You're envious. So, in the lower species of life, one can enjoy unrestricted sense gratification. There's no karma. There is no criticism. Here, if you enjoy sense gratification unlimitedly, you have illicit sex with young girls or anything, people will complain. You might even get arrested. And if you can't bribe enough people, you might even have to go to jail for some time. But if you become a pig, no one's going to complain that you eat too much. Did you ever hear anyone telling a pig you're fat? You're obese. Why don't you go on a diet? No, a pig doesn't worry about those things. Matter of fact, the other pigs are envious. The fatter you get, the more envious they become, and the happier the farmer becomes. Oh, you look great today, piggy. And everyone looks beautiful to a pig. If you want romance, become a pig. Because the she-pig, doesn't even have to put on makeup. She doesn't have to do anything. She just has to wiggle her tail and he's captivated. Oh, that tail, I can't resist it. And when they have children, there's no problem. You don't have to work extra. You don't have to pay for education. There's no question of old age because you're not going to reach old age. So the life of a pig is great. You can eat as much as you want. You can have sex as much as you want. And there's no restraint. It's spontaneous. They're on the Raganuga platform of sense gratification. And you can sleep as much as you want. No one's going to come and wake you. If you're walking down the block, chanting your rounds, and you see a pig asleep, you're very unlikely to go and try and wake him up. And as far as defense, they don't have to learn karate, whatever. They just do the best they can. So their problem is solved from the very beginning of birth. They're eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and they can do it throughout their whole life. And they're enjoying as much as a human being is, without the problems of working hard to get it. The food is fresh and plentiful. It's always being created for you, fresh, prepared. And the house is always moist and warm. Everything is wonderful if you're a pig. If you want sense gratification, it's the life. And if you want Krishna consciousness, then human form of life has some value. Otherwise, it has no real value, except for that. But we can see people are in anxiety now. They're working hard to get a vacation, and when they get an extended vacation, they become very disturbed because they don't know what to do. Because they have no aim in life. Natevidu swarthagatim hi Vishnu darashyaye bahir arthamanina. They don't know that the aim of life is to obtain Krishna. And therefore they've chosen all kinds of insignificant things as their aim of life. And if there's any impediment to getting the insignificant paraphernalia to decorate their house or their wives or themselves, then they become super disturbed as if they're not making any progress. They're not adding another zero to their whole collection of zeros. So they're very disturbed about it. Because they've been taught, Andaya Tandira, Upagayamanaste Pisha Tantra, Urudami Vara. They've been taught by blind people that the aim of life is just to add things to your collection. And if you add enough things to your collection, then you win. As they had in America, they had one bumper sticker. It said, whoever gets the most toys at the end of life wins. So people are just busy collecting toys, baby toys, children toys, and adult toys, and they feel good that they're actually making progress. The more they get toys. But actually, Naishamati stavara rukramangrim sprishat yanartho bhagavo yanartho mahir sampararije vishekam niskinchananam nanavrittitavat. That the real aim of life is to approach Krishna. And one approaches Krishna by someone following the instructions of those who actually have some experience of making progress in Krishna consciousness. And the best person is the niskinchanana, one who's given up all material aspiration, because such a person is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And therefore he has realized Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And therefore such a person can actually tell us what's valuable and how to achieve it. He can tell us what our business is, and he can give us an indication of how our business is going. Therefore, we can go make progress in that way towards the ultimate goal of life, to obtain Krishna. Everyone else can help us obtain things which are temporary, which don't have any real value. They can help us become envious and mischievous and help us become the lowest among men, but they can't help us become devotees of Krishna. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Comments?
Hare Krishna. Now there are many recorded cases of reincarnation.
Yeah, we're one of them.
They are just human to human.
Well, ask a frog. What? You mean no one remembers being a frog in their last lifetime?
No.
Well, I remember being a frog. No. I never told anyone. No. Generally, you don't become a human from a frog. I mean, we're lucky to remember our last lifetime. Generally, when you take birth in a civilized form of life, you must have taken birth in a similar form of human life in your past lifetime. You just don't jump to what the civilized form of life from an animal life. Because it says from the mode of goodness from a cow, from the mode of passion from a lion, from the mode of ignorance from a monkey. But generally speaking, if you were a monkey in your last lifetime, you probably would be a monkey in this lifetime too. And if you jump from a monkey to a human being, it's very unlikely if you're in the mode of ignorance, you're going to remember it. You don't jump from a monkey to Brahma. Or from a lion, probably very passionate, it's unlikely you're going to learn. And if you're a cow, to take birth in the mode of goodness, you might remember it, but you might not immediately remember being a cow. Maybe some other births in between. In any case, if you were any one of the species of life, you probably wouldn't want to remember it. Imagine remembering being a cow chomping on grass all day long. It'd be fearful. It would be a fearful remembrance. Or a monkey stealing people's glasses in Loy Bazaar. It would be embarrassing. How many Vaishnavas you offended? Yes.
Thanks. This story mentions Yamaraj coming in the form of a young boy to instruct some royal family. So, is that something that would happen also nowadays? That some Yamaraj, Agni, somebody else would come to give some instruction to, let's say, devotees in some situation?
Well, I can't forbid them from coming. I mean, they did come. They came to join when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here. But I think we'd have to advance our Sankirtan movement a few notches before they would want to come to participate in our Sankirtan. But that's possible in the future, when they're actually advanced devotees, then they'll come. Prabhupada saw the demigods sometimes, he mentioned it. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Does Krishna fulfill all our desires, even the one which are not good for us?
Do you want him to fulfill those desires too?
No, I don't want, but I want to know if if I want something bad for myself, if this will Krishna,
What do you
or
think?
for materialist maybe.
What do you think?
No, the bad he won't.
No, he won't. If you ask him long enough, you bother him enough. It probably gives the example that the child says, I want to touch the fan. I want to touch the fan when spinning around. So the father says, no, it's not a good idea, you'll get hurt. But if the child bothers him enough, then the father will slow this fan down so it's very hardly moving. Go ahead, touch it. And he touches, go ahead, touch it again. No. So if we're determined enough, then Krishna will give us some experience. Like one time when devotee was singing in Soho Street, I got to leave here, it's too much for me, I got to leave. So he goes out the door, and there are two street people having a fight with each other. And one of them pulls out a knife from his boot, which is, a huge knife, and starts stabbing the other person repeatedly. And there's blood everywhere, and a helicopter comes to try to save the person, and they can't do it. He dies. And the devotee thinks, who's in the temple thinking of leaving, he said, oh, I'm not going anywhere. So sometimes Krishna gives us some inspiration to stay, give up our bad habits. Anything else? Thank you very much. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.